From San Antonio, Texas, home of the Alamo, the Riverwalk, and the World Heritage San Antonio Missions, this is the Exit Planning Coach podcast with John F. Dini. Designed to help advisors who work with business owners, John talks with top professionals in the exit planning field about best practices, marketing tips, and how to be more effective when working with owners. Now, here's John F. Dini.
Hello. Welcome to the Exit Planning Coach podcast. I'm John F. Dini, and my guest today is Sheryl Linck from the Trust Company of Tennessee. Sheryl is a strategy and financial planning specialist. She was a managing director for BNY Mellon. She's from Pittsburgh, graduated Duquesne. She has a bachelor's in business, a master, MBA, and her passion for continuous learning led to a certificate in negotiation from Harvard Law School. So we had a big discussion over her fee, but I won. She's a certified exit planner, a CEPA with EPI, and a certified exit planner, CEXP with BEI, and is a frequent guest lecturer for the Business Enterprise Institute. She's based in Knoxville, and she has a whole team of relationship managers focused on trust, multi-generational wealth, and privately held businesses. And she is very active in the community, at the Museum of Art Board of Trustees, the Symphony Orchestra Board of Directors, the Opera Board of Directors, and the Camerata Board. What's Camerata?
That's fundraising.
Oh, okay. She and her husband live in Knoxville and spend time traveling and boating. Mm-hmm. So welcome, Sheryl. It's good to have you.
Thank you. Thank
Now,
you.
what is I was confused when we first met. What is the Trust Company of Tennessee? You don't just do trusts.
No, we do not. It's the name is somewhat of a misnomer. We actually are a chartered bank in the state of Tennessee, but we operate exclusively under trust powers. Under that, however, we are providing three prongs of business, one of which is in the retirement plan services business, so working closely with business owners on their retirement plans. The other is in wealth management, so working with many of those business owners on their personal wealth, and and then other folks as well on their personal wealth. And then lastly, working in the trust arena. So as you can see, the three components fit very nicely together in crafting an overall business strategy.
Sure.
And we've been around for over 30 years.
Wow. And you lead the business advisory practice. So I know you do a lot of true hands-on value consulting.
Yes.
What attracted you to working with business owners? What got you started doing that?
Absolutely. I would say it started really as a child. I grew up in a family business. My parents worked in a family business. The entire family on my parents' side were involved. So all the good.
What kind of business?
In the auto supply industry.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So the good, the bad, and the ugly. Unfortunately, there was a fair amount of ugly. And so had that sort of back in the back of my mind. It didn't really influence my early career. However, when I was deciding what was sort of my next act, was going to retire and instead went into sort of semi-retirement and learned more about exit planning, consulting, and the like, and decided to pull together everything that I had learned through my business career and through the family business experience, and find a way to bring that to work with clients. I was fortunate in moving to Knoxville, Tennessee, to meet the folks at the Trust Company. They also had a keen interest in the area, and so we launched the practice, and that's been just over 4.5 years ago.
Oh, okay. So you're a founder of the practice there.
Yes.
Oh, wow. That's neat. And how many people do you have now?
4.
4. Great. Your first meeting, you get, I assume, mostly by referral, and you sit down to meet with a respective new client. How do you structure that meeting? How does that go?
Certainly. Initially, we of course use your assessment tools.
Thank
so
you.
if someone's coming in through that avenue, they already have an interest in pursuing exit planning or succession planning or whatever we want to use as the naming convention there as to what we're doing for them. However, that's one type of meeting, because then I actually use your tools to sort of walk them through, what we see initially, and see if that resonates with the given prospect, and determine if we take the next step from there, or if it's something they want to take offline and we get back together on. Typically in those scenarios, if they meet basically the criteria to work with us, typically we're able to turn those folks into clients. One of our biggest, I don't want to call it a challenge, but one of our biggest, where things end at that stage, is if someone wants to do a piecemeal, I'll call it, engagement. We only do fully comprehensive engagements because we want to work holistically with the client, because there's no way to go halfway into one of these analysis and providing a plan. So but there are those clients or those prospects who say they don't want to, delve into everything at this time. So then we basically walk away from the table. There are enough potential clients out there that want to do a comprehensive plan and really look at everything. And that's really where we can provide the greatest value. So that's one side of the equation. So that's someone who actually comes through the door with an intent of exploring. The other side is someone that, one of our relationship managers or one of our COIs in the market might say, have somebody that probably needs this. They don't know it yet. Would just sit down and have a conversation. Those are probably the easiest sales, interestingly enough.
Really?
Because what I find with people is that they haven't thought about it. You can ask 2 or 3 very open-ended questions about their lives. And when you start peeling back that onion with those questions, they start to see very quickly where they have deficiencies in them being able to live the life that they want in the future for themselves, for their families, and for their business. So it really starts to, I'll say, compound issues that they want to have addressed, and it leads straight to a comprehensive plan.
Now, when you say comprehensive plan, for instance, we have another subscriber to Exit Map who is a CPA, and most clients walk in with a legacy CPA relationship, and he says, "I'm sorry, I either get the whole relationship or I can't do the planning for you." Is that the same way you work? The legacy advisors have to go?
No, the legacy advisors do not have to go. What I mean by comprehensive is we want to look at everything from the business perspective. First of all, of course, continuity planning. I've learned the hard way that has to be absolutely first and foremost on our agenda, and because if it's not, that's always the thing that gets kicked to the end of the line. Someone does not really want to talk about their demise. And I did have a case where the person thought he had many, many, many years ahead of him, and unfortunately had a matter of months. And it really put us in a precarious position where currently we're actually helping manage a number of those businesses. So that's a big part of like how we come out of the chute, is working on the continuity plan. With that said, from a comprehensive perspective, it's looking at the continuity plan, looking at the business alone today, looking at the person's or the owner's financial position personally, looking at what they want to achieve in the future for themselves and their families, and then looking at all of this from the perspective of tax. And then that pulls in the estate side, so the estate planning. So it's really personal financial planning, business planning, estate planning, all rolled together. We do bring in a cadre of outside advisors to work with each one of our cases. So there we would have estate attorneys, business attorneys, CPAs involved, valuation professionals, and depending on the case, we may also have executive coaches involved or training professionals that we may bring to the table to work, in the development of the given company's executives and the like, so that they're able to proceed forward and achieve their goals for the company. So it tends to be a very large group that gets involved, and we sit, I'll call it sort of over that group, acting as the coach, making sure the right players are on the field at the right time, and that everybody's striving toward the same, I'll call it end zone, as opposed to potentially running in opposite directions.
Well, as what EPI would term the quarterback.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah. What would you, we're going to do a webinar. We've got one coming up that we're going to do on of profiling your ideal client. How do you profile? What's that profile look like for you?
Sure. Ideal client probably first starts with revenue. Because of how comprehensive we are, the costs involved, we need to have clients that are actually willing and able to, pay for the services that we're bringing
That's always
forth.
nice. I always like that part.
So exactly. So with that said, it makes the most sense for it to be a company that is $5 million in annual revenue or greater. And because of the estate planning side of things that we do, this is not always the case, but it's very often the case that we're also dealing with someone that has a taxable estate. So if we have the $5 million in annual revenue covered, we have a taxable estate situation, most likely, then we're able to bring all of the tools from our toolbox to bear to work with that given client.
Now under the current regulations, and I don't keep up with the taxable estates, about 23 million or something like that for a couple.
Currently for a couple, it's 14 million each, just shy of 14 million each, so about 28.
Okay. If they have a $5 million revenue business and they've accumulated $28 million, that's a heck of a business.
Right. That's why we say 5 is our starting point.
Yeah.
Typically with 5, we're not going to have a taxable estate as well.
Sure.
But we can certainly still provide value to that given company. And in those cases, perhaps it is someone that has outside wealth that we're dealing with. It could be a marriage that has taken place, and the given individual, may own the business, but it's not going to be something that would also be passed along to the wife. So there could be many things involved.
Sure, an inheritance,
Exactly.
Winning the lottery, I guess,
Indeed.
a couple of those. Let me take a break here just for a minute so we can pay for the podcast, and we will be right back.
How would your practice survive if only 25% of your clients were happy with your work? How many referrals would you get? Would you advertise that success rate? Over the last decade, both the Exit Planning Institute and PwC have surveyed owners and found that 75% were profoundly unhappy a year after their exits. In 10 years, the exit planning industry has done little to fix this issue. Business owners need purpose, direction, and activity after exiting. Planning for that starts with your very first coaching conversation. We work with advisors who believe that clients should be happy after exiting. Exit Map is a structured discovery process that helps you have deeper conversations about client options, objectives, and life after the business. We help you launch better transitions. Take a test drive at exitmap.com.
Okay, welcome back to the Exit Planning Coach podcast. I'm with Sheryl Linck of the Trust Company of Tennessee, and we've been talking about how they work on comprehensive planning, the estate planning, business planning, personal planning, wealth management planning for clients. Sheryl, do you work outside of the Knoxville area?
Yes, we can. At this stage, most of our engagements have been within the region. I think the reason for that is primarily because there's so much demand here within I'll call it our backyard, a little bit bigger than the backyard, but we've not expanded beyond that. But certainly, there's nothing that stops us from going beyond the borders of Tennessee to work with clients.
Okay, well, we obviously will put all your contact information on the program when we put it up, but a lot of people listen to podcasts in their cars and stuff too. So could you just give us how to contact you quickly?
Sure, absolutely. Best way to contact me is via email at the Trust Company. It's slink, LINCK, at thetrust.com. slink at thetrust.com.
Great, thank you. What do you find is your biggest challenge in a
hmm
planning project?
I'd say that the biggest challenge is time. Um, had so many owners come to me saying, I really need your service. And oh, by the way, I want to be out of the business in 6 months. It's probably an aggressive number, but I'll say that, I'm almost being facetious on that one, but 2 years. 2 years
Yeah,
really isn't a really good time
yeah.
frame.
I,
I now
I
am
tell
telling.
them 3 to 5, and 8's a lot better.
Right,
Yeah.
right, absolutely. I've worked on one case where we actually sold to insiders, and the insiders, after having gone through the process, watching the owner sell to them, they've now come around and they come to our CEO forums that we host, and they've said, we need to put you on our payroll now as like a startup almost, if you think about it that way,
Mm,
and you work with us from the get-go so that we know that we're in the right place when we get to our exit and have
mm,
planned appropriately. So they saw the value, again, through watching someone else. But the owners that had that company prior, it was this situation where they actually were the ones that came to me and said, "I'd like to be out in 6 months."
mm. Yeah. I used to, years ago, I was a Main Street business broker,
hmm
and a lot of times the time frame in that was 30 days. I'm ready to sell my company. Can you get rid of it for me this month?
The answer to that
No.
question can be yes. You might not like the proceeds.
Yeah, well, I still tell people, I said, I can transfer your company in one day.
hmm
I said, well, you set a price, your employees agree to pay it, you write a note for 100%
Right.
and hope for the best.
Exactly. Exactly.
There is a direct correlation between risk and time.
Indeed.
Um, what issues come up besides time? We talked about, time frames. What else comes up that you find challenging where you're dealing with it on a very regular basis?
hmm hmm Owners that don't want to focus on the what's next.
Hmm.
They think, oh, I'm going to spend time with the grandchildren, volunteer, play golf, whatever it may be. And we go through the exercise of quantifying exactly what that means. They say, whatever it is they want to do, we put it into, here's how much time you're going to sleep, here's how much time you're going to be during the day, and how many hours you need to fill. And let's take that given activity that you say that you're going to be doing. Oh, by the way, even if you do this, to a large extent, the extreme amount of time put toward whatever it may be, you still have a huge block of time
Yeah,
sitting there, and
yeah,
you need to think about what you're going to do with it. That's probably the hardest concept to get across to folks because they've been so busy focusing on the business, playing, working in the business. They've limited play time. So that little bit of a glimpse of playtime that they get when they go on vacation or whatever it may be, is a small glimpse. And they think that they're going to take that small glimpse and turn it into every day. And unfortunately, every day is not going to look like vacation.
sure, sure. I can't tell you how many times I've heard, I never thought I could play too much golf.
Right.
Yeah. When we have that exercise in Exit Map Express with the hours,
hmm
and
Right.
it's funny when people say something that they think is going to take up a huge amount of time, and then you parse it out over the year, and it's not very much at all.
Not very much time.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would say the other thing on that is again, owners that aren't looking at what they're going to do next, like when they actually do walk away, and also um, thinking that there's harmony within the family. Yeah.
Yeah.
A
And
lot of
as
times
you know,
there's
oh, I'm
harmony
sorry.
while they're there.
Yeah.
Um, but when something happens, unfortunately, that can take a very bad turn, I should say.
Yeah. And as you know, we also focus on purpose.
hmm
I have a client that I talked to a couple weeks ago, and we sold his company or helped him sell his company to some private equity folks back in the middle. I guess it was the middle of 23 we did it, and I've kept in touch with him.
hmm
Not least because we've got some earnouts on the on the hook. But great guy. But it was just before Christmas, and it was a little bit of a sad conversation. He said, I know we talked about this. I know you told me to plan. I know you made me write down the things I was going to do. I know you
Hmm.
told me that I was really going to need this when the time came. He said, and I've never felt so useless in my entire life.
Right.
That's
Right.
that's a shame with people that were, that are energetic, that had, goal
Yes.
oriented, that love teaching, love developing people, that
Right.
purpose is important.
Indeed.
Um, well, combine two questions about marketing and referrals.
Hmm.
Now, you mentioned you do CEO.
Yes, one thing that we've launched is having a CEO, a business owner roundtable program. That is I'll call it a closed door session. It's held out exclusively for owners. So I call it CEOs, but it's the owner roundtable. They have to
Hmm.
be owners, and it basically is putting uh, like purpose people in the room, dealing with the same type of situations, owning companies, in the room to hear about various topics. We set out a series of topics that we'll address and invite them to the series. They then say, yes, I want to participate. We've put about 60 folks in the room each
Wow,
time,
great.
and then we bring in a panel. So really trying to look at any given situation from a myriad of different angles and making it very much informational, but also Q&A and also Q&A across the table to one another. So
Hmm.
not just talking at them, but talking with them.
Hmm.
So it's been very beneficial for those that participate. I think they really look forward to getting the next invitation, and those that have not, are looking forward to getting involved whenever we explain what it is.
Yeah, that's terrific.
Hmm.
That's really great. I love people that just spread the knowledge.
Yes.
It's really important because, as you know, so few business owners really have a plan
Right.
together. You know,
Right.
and it's only, 50 to 80% of their net worth, so why bother? So my last question, we always finish up with this, and some brilliant stuff comes out of it. No pressure. Um, obviously, there's a tsunami going on. The exits are
Hmm.
multiplying at a very rapid pace. A lot of people are getting involved. You participate with EPI, you know the number of people they're putting through every single month now who are looking for
Hmm.
credentials in exit planning. Somebody went and got a credential and they want to start being an exit planner. What's your best advice to get started?
Hmm. I would say my best advice to get started is don't try to launch into the coach role immediately. Figure out what is your lane that you're particularly good at
Mm.
and can bring to business owners, and look to potentially play as an expert in that lane and maybe be a member of a team, an exit team, working with an advisor who actually does comprehensive planning. Um, in that case, you may be able to bring much more value to the given client than you would if you try to be a jack of all trades and cross over into areas where you've not really participated in the past, other than in the course in which you received the
Right.
credential,
Yeah.
which again can be a matter of months or a matter of days.
Hmm.
So I think that the greatest thing that we can provide as advisors in this arena to our clients is being inwardly focused and being real about yourself and what you actually can bring to the client, and only trying to deliver on what you truly are an expert on. While I bring a lot of things to the table for the clients I work with, I'm certainly not an expert in every one of them, but I do have enough background in each one to know, when to bring folks in and
Sure. Sure.
when not to cross the line into a given area because I have no knowledge. Go out and find the right advisor to participate with you. Again, trying to be all things to all people. I think really sets up
Yeah.
this arena for having a bad reputation.
Yeah. You can't. And you know as well as I do that whether it's the Exit Planning Institute, whether it's the Business Enterprise Institute, whether it's the International Exit Planning Association, which are the
Hmm.
three everybody says very firmly and repeatedly, it's a team sport.
It's a team sport.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, thank you very much. This has been wonderful. Good to see you again.
Certainly.
I haven't seen you since October. Maybe
Right.
I'll probably see you. Are you going to EPI this year?
I think I am. Yes.
Yeah. So I'll
Yes.
probably see you in, I think that's April.
Yes.
So thank you very much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
Hey.
Appreciate the
Oh,
opportunity.
thanks.
Take
Thanks,
care.
Cheryl. That was good. That was really good. I really
Great.
enjoyed it. It was
Good.
terrific.